Retrograde Mars in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius January 2nd at 11:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at 1 degree. Now this is usually known for having some really ruthless energy. God of war, God of the underworld. But we're going to raise that energy up, and since it's retrograde, we're going to turn inward and look for our inner courage before we can really manifest out there on that final hit. Now this is the first time Mars in Leo is opposed Pluto in Aquarius because Pluto hasn't been in Aquarius for like 240 years. So we'll kind of see what happens. Now the first hit was November 3rd. We've got this one on January 2nd. And the final hit's going to be on April 26th. For that retrograde motion. Now Mars in Leo is very regal, royal, very heart-centered. So they can be passionate. So can be a little bit of a drama queen. So you can see the opposite there with Pluto in Aquarius, which is a little bit more like Spock from Star Trek saying, Captain, I'm sorry, this is illogical. So you can see there will be a little bit of conflict there. So if you've got early degrees in any of the fixed signs, and that's planets or angles, this may affect you more personally. Maybe I should just tell you to stay home, stay in bed, and keep the covers over your head, but just kidding. We like to get out there and mix it up with that energy. So this is a time when you really want to dig deep. Pluto in Aquarius, mentally, think about it, and find that inner courage. Be assertive, don't be aggressive. Protect your boundaries and figure out what those boundaries are. And because Mars is the energy that when you fall down, picks you back up. And if you get a little pissed off and have some of that, I'm going to show them energy, you never know. One time in college, I had a boyfriend dump me, and to show him, I went off and studied abroad for a semester in London. Best thing I ever did. So maybe a little ruthlessness is okay. All right, so I hope you join us for the expanded version. We'll talk about this in a little bit more detail, and also talk about this wobble that's coming up in 2025. All right, guys. Bye. Thanks. Welcome back to the Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for coming back to the expanded version of Mars opposed Pluto, January 2024. So I think I'm starting to get a little bit of a routine here with the shorts and then adding on this expanded version. But let me know what you think. And of course, if you have any questions, please put all that in the comments. I really appreciate it. And I like these shorts because I know you guys just don't have a lot of time sometimes. And I really want to just alert you to what the real biggies that are going on and what you can be focusing on and aware of these transits. So for my channel, I'm really trying to stay focused on like broader themes and what are really the most obvious transits and how to apply these transits to your own chart, because hopefully you'll be able to apply these principles to other planets, other aspects and transits, and off and running and off you go. Because there are several really great astrologers out there that do much more in-depth projections for the month or week or day or whatever, and go into a lot more detail with the moon and things like that. Like Rick Levine, and he uses like a bunch more aspects than I use, and Denise Knight and Pam Gregory, she adds in asteroids and all those little tiny planets and that kind of thing, and it's fascinating, and I applaud them. That's great. But I'm going to stay with kind of the bare bones minimum here. And actually, watching those people, that was kind of one of my inspirations for doing this channel, is that I was like, wow, if I didn't know some astrology, I don't even, how would I get all this, So I do admit to that was one of my inspirations. And hopefully after you get to maybe go back and do astrology for beginners on my channel, you can take other classes that are more specific to what your interests are and that kind of thing. Because my main goal is to make astrology more user-friendly and accessible to everybody. Because I know how overwhelming it can be. You've got signs, you've got planets, you've got houses, you've got aspects, you've got transits. It can get a little overwhelming. So I'm going to put you on pause here, and I'm going to bring the camera down, and we'll look at that Mars opposed Pluto in a little bit more detail. All right, hang on. Okay, so here we go. Here's our wheel, and we've got Pluto up here, just gone into Aquarius, just past Capricorn. And now we've got Mars down here that's been in Cancer and is going up into Leo and back into Cancer, and off it goes then into around the wheel. So I wanted to give you these movements of Mars a little bit more detail. So and feel free to take a screenshot of this if you like. So here we started way back on November 3rd. Mars opposed Pluto at 29 degrees 30 minutes, Cancer, Capricorn. Remember, they're going to be the same degree because they're exactly opposite one another. And then on that same day, Mars went into Leo. So boom, right off the bat. And then just to let you keep reminding you, on November 19th is when Pluto went into Aquarius for good. So for the next 20 years, it's in Aquarius. Now on December 6th, that's when Mars went retrograde at 6 degrees Leo. January 3rd, the transit we're talking about today, is retrograde Mars is opposing Pluto at 1 degree Leo Aquarius. And then on January 6th, coming right up here, retrograde Mars is going to back into Cancer. So that's going to be a real change because Mars is pretty happy in Leo. You know, he's Leo is fire, is exciting, is passionate, and Mars is too. So they build a pretty good bonfire together for sure. So back into Cancer, that's a water sign, more motherly. Oh, and I should say Leo is fixed fire. Cancer is cardinal water. So that's a little, Mars is actually considered to be in its fall. And you'll have to go back and look at my classes to find out about that in Cancer. So it's just not very happy there. Let's put it that way. Sort of slugging around in the swamp a little bit. But then on February 23rd, Mars is going to go direct at 17 degrees Cancer. And then on April 18th, because it's going to finally get back into Leo. And just remember, when these planets go stationary, retrograde, or stationary direct, when they stop and turn around and go the other direction, it takes them a week or so to get going. Like usually Mars moves a degree every 2 days or so. It's probably only going to move maybe a degree or two in a week on those stationary times. And then on April 18th, Mars will get back into Leo. And then on April 26th, Mars is going to oppose Pluto for the last time at 3 degrees 30 minutes, Leo and Aquarius. So you can see this whole time from January 1st, November 19th, when Pluto was at 0, it took it all the way to the end of April to get 3 degrees and 30 minutes. So that's pretty slow, but it's a slow planet. Okay, so do keep those times, those retrogrades. That's when it's going to be the most powerful too, those station times. And remember, the planet isn't actually turning around and going backwards. It's got to do with the orbits and if the orbits are parallel, they look like they're going forward, but once one of those orbits turn that corner around the sun, then it looks like it's going backwards. So anyway, again, I go into detail on that in my Astrology for Beginners. I think it's lesson 27. I can't remember for sure. I go into it about Mercury retrograde, but it's the same principle for all planets go retrograde. Of course, the sun and moon are considered luminaries, so they don't. So do watch out for this time period, though, and look and see if you're Aquarius, Capricorn, or whatever. Now let's give you some. let's talk about Mars and some more pleasant energy. On January 5th, Mars is going to trine the North Node. Now the nodes are they're always opposite. There's a North Node and a South Node. And they're right at the beginning of Aries, but they go backwards in relationship to the planets. It's kind of a shadow of the moon is another way that they're referred to also. So Mars is, because this is going to be at like 1 degree Aries, and it'll be in Leo. All right, yeah. And before it gets into Pisces, so there will be a trine there. And then another one I really want you to be aware of, I'm going to just remove this for now, is Neptune. Neptune is hanging out at like about 27 degrees Pisces. So Mars is going to trine it. It already did it once on October 28th. And then it's going to trine again on January 12th. So this is a really great time to get in touch with your spirituality and how you want to work with it and move with it. This is good, Mars Neptune energy is good for, yoga, Tai Chi, any kind of physical things like that. And also, Neptune is kind of our planet of sacrifice and helping others. And when I say sacrifice, I'm just meaning, maybe you help out somewhere with a charity a couple of hours a month or something like that. But it can be a time of just having a little bit more spirituality and just getting out there and helping other people. And Neptune it'll be going into Aries March 30th. Okay, so let me just give you this to look at. And you can take a screenshot of this. So the first hit was October 28th when Mars trine Neptune and that was in Cancer and Pisces. Water is a trine. And then on January 12th, retrograde Mars is going to trine Neptune. Again, it's still going to be in Cancer and Pisces. And then finally, the last one, April 19th, when Mars trines Neptune, it's going to be a Leo Aries trine, fire. So it's going to be a little different there at the end, but we will start to feel a little bit more complete with that energy, I'm sure. Okay. Another thing I wanted, I'm sorry, I forgot to point this out. I wanted to show you these. This is a tarot card for Mars energy, and this is a tarot card for Pluto energy. So the Tower and the Judgment card. So I like these images. I like using tarot just because I think it activates some part of my subconscious mind a little bit. But we are going to be having some shocks here coming up, and we have. I mean, this transit is working in with our election, and then they're going to be certifying the vote. So I'm really curious to see what happens, to be quite honest. But this shock can literally wake us up so that we stand up out of our coffin and we let go of those physical restraints and start looking at a more spiritual aspect of ourselves. Okay, sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, next thing I want to mention is that Mercury goes into Capricorn on January 8th. Now, we've already had the Sun go into Capricorn back on December 21st, the solstice. I'll just put that guy right there. And we've also got Venus out here floating around. She just went into Pisces the night of, well, basically right around midnight. She went into Pisces on January, my brain's failing me here, January 2nd. All right. And the reason I wanted to point these three planets out is to just remind you that Mercury never gets more than 28 degrees away from the sun, and the Venus never gets more than 45 degrees from the sun. So those three planets always move together around your chart. So look at this quadrant of where is, you know, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, you know, and finishing up Sagittarius. You know, is this your rising sign and your first quadrant, or is it up here in this quadrant? So that you can start to get a feel for how those three personal planets are going to be affecting you and your chart. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to mention too is that this that as these planets go into signs and since we've got Pluto here at 1 degree and we've got Neptune at 27 degrees, just remember the moon and everything, any planet, as soon as it crosses that cusp, it's just finished up. It'll be making some aspect to Neptune. It'll be squaring it, trying it, and then boom, it's going to do something to Pluto. So that's kind of showing up here with this opposition to Pluto, as well as that. It just, you know, it trying that Neptune, and then it had the opposition to Pluto. So you're going to, so kind of keep an eye out for that too. That again, if you've got those early degrees fixed for Pluto, and then very, very late degrees mutable for the difficult aspects, and then of course water makes it nice and easy. Same here, air signs, other air signs that are right at the beginning of the sign, makes it a little bit more pleasant also. And that brings me to discussing a little bit more on this, the wobble. Okay, I already mentioned this once, but we do have Pluto has gone into Aquarius November 19th, but it's right there at those critical first few degrees, so we're getting used to it. You know, what does that mean to have Pluto in Aquarius? Neptune will be going into, let me grab this thing. Neptune will be going into Aries in 2025, March 31st. And it's going to go back and forth across this, you know, into Aries, back to Pisces, into Aries, up until January of 26. So that's why I'm calling it kind of this wobble time. And then Uranus is down here. Let's see, let's get my little Uranus sticky here. Is down here in Taurus. Right now it's about, I think, 23 degrees of Taurus. But it's going to be coming up and going into Gemini. So, and that'll happen on July 7th, and then it's going to wobble back and forth between Taurus and Gemini until April of 2026. And then Saturn, which I'm really, actually I'm glad that Saturn is in Pisces to help give some form to Neptune here, but it's going to be going into Aries on May 26, 2025, but again, go back and forth over that horizon line until February of 2026. And just to, did my wheel get crooked? And just to let you know, this Aries degree, this 0 Aries, that is the beginning of the wheel, right? So it's the beginning of our zodiac. It's the beginning of everything. So this, having these two planets together, and I'll talk about that in more detail later, is just really going to be fascinating and interesting to see how that goes. And again, so we'll get that wobble again as Saturn goes back and forth. And then Jupiter is going to just, boom, go straight into Cancer. See, where's my Jupiter sticky? There it is. From, right now it's in Gemini, but on June 10th. But it's not going to wobble back and forth, but still it's a change of sign. And that's what's so amazing about 2025. And then Pluto got us started here in 2024, but Pluto changed sign, Neptune changes sign, Uranus changes sign, Saturn changes sign, Jupiter changes sign. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. And then, sorry about my clock. And then I had, the last time I talked about this, I forgot to mention about these nodes shifting into, going backwards into Pisces on January 12th, 2025. So that North Node will be going into Pisces for 18 months, and the South Node will be going into Virgo. So that's a real shift too happening, because these, like I said, these nodes are kind of, our karmic stuff, but it's also how we deal with society. So it's going out of Aries, this me first, I want everything my way, as the north node energy, south node energy. Sorry if I sound negative. It's all, it's good to be me first. Sometimes we need that. South node, thinking about, I don't want to rock the boat and things like that. Into Pisces, into spirituality, into Virgo is probably one of our most realistic, grounded, real, into the reality. It's earth, it's mutable sign. Pisces is water mutable. Okay, I think I got that. I think I got everything I wanted to go over, and I always feel like I've gone on long enough. I try to do just 15 minutes, but I always seem to go over. So anyway, everybody, thank you so much, and just remember, from there to here, from here to there, funny things are everywhere. Have a great New Year's Day. Bye.